Hello and welcome back to John De Silva Photography, where everything we talk about is photography. Now, as you know, I'm a travel photographer primarily. I do some work for Disney, but travel photography is my jam. It's what I love to do, and that's why we're here today to talk to you about travel photography specifically, but of course, all of these principles and ideas and approaches to photography work in portraiture, wedding, just all the disciplines of photography. Now, speaking of travel photography, I today am in Mostar, Bosnia, and that behind me is the Stari Most Bridge. It's a very famous icon here in Bosnia. It's beautiful. It's early Sunday morning. No one's here. This is part of travel photography. Getting up early sometimes, often to get the right light and make your photographs so they come out beautiful, well lit, just the way you want them. There are some people coming out here now that the sun's getting a little higher. The sun rises actually at 5 something in the morning here, so you get up early if you want to get really nice images. And if you're in a populated area and you want few to zero people in it, you do what you have to do to get up and make that photo. But anyway, today I am going to be going through some photographs, travel photography, and talking about how they were made and giving you some tips on how to make them even before you set up your gear, maybe getting to your locations. So let's go through those images. If you have any ideas, if you have suggestions, please leave them in the description below. And don't forget, subscribe and like the video. That way I can get more views and you can come back often. That is not the Starry Most Bridge back there. That is another bridge, but you can get more videos. You can get notified when a new video posts. So anyway, enjoy the images and I'll see you on the other side. I found San Martin de los Andes to be a lovely area in the Lake District of Patagonia, Argentina. But I did find it difficult to find subject material that I found interesting enough to photograph. Now, I could have just generously shot without too much consideration, considering I'm not dealing with the limitation of film like I was in the old film days, and having today's digital flexibility to shoot hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures and not worry about the amount. I've never been influenced by that, really. I'm not inclined to make photographs that I don't feel at the time that I'm there that are interesting or excite me in some way or create some kind of emotional reaction within me. Therefore, today's collection is small, containing only 5 images from San Martin de los Andes. But I think it represents the 5 best images that I made there. And upon review, in the time spent there, I made less than 100 images, which is not a lot for a new place that I visit. Usually I'm visiting a place because of its photographic and natural world interest to me. But of course, quantity is going to be determined by the amount of time you spend in any place, and of course, the amount of interesting subject matter that you find in that place. So let's go on to the first image, which comes from one of the hikes that I made while in the area. It pays to observe the micro as well as the macro when you are photographing, whether it's outdoors, indoors, whatever you're photographing. And sometimes there are no huge mountains or mountain ranges, tall waterfalls, monolithic volcanoes, large blue lakes, or vast plains to make images of. But sometimes there are very interesting, very beautiful details that tell a story of where you are. And this collection, I would say, much more than any I have shared to this date, represent that situation. Now, this pod-like flower that you're looking at is a very beautiful part of an otherwise what I would maybe describe as a subdued experience. I love being outside, outdoors, but let's be honest, some places are more exciting or more enticing, more beautiful than others. And which happens to all of us on occasion. We're in those situations and environments. And let's face it, not every city, park, forest, or experience is going to be one for the ages. So for this image, the color, of course, caught my eye. And I decided to place this burst of color in the upper right-hand corner of my composition and using its stem as a strong diagonal. We all know that diagonal lines, diagonal patterns in images is an exciting, it's more of a get my heartbeat going reaction on the human eye and the human emotion. So going further, I really softened up the background to keep the one flower pod in focus, but kept the smaller splotches of color in the bottom left corner and the other two even smaller blotches to show that there is a grouping of these flowers. Now, I could even square up this composition. I could crop it by removing the far left, oh, let's say 1/5 of the image, because it doesn't offer much to the image as it is now, the other 4/5 to the right of that section that contain all of the graphic information needed to make this a pleasant composition. So I could make this a really nice square picture. Now in my next image, it is more macro, obviously, than the previous one, showing a mountainous background with a hilly middle ground covered by green trees and bushes, and a watery, grassy foreground. The golden tan reeds growing from the blue water is obviously the story here, with the blue of the sky and green of the sloping hills framing and keeping your eye mostly in the reeds, especially if this is viewed on anything as large as a laptop desk or desktop screen or larger. You can actually see the detail in the reeds and their shapes and their textures come out um, much more strongly than if you're viewing this, like, let's say, on a cell phone. My next image, I would ask you, the viewer, what do you think the subject is? Or is it the entire composition that's the subject? But think about it. Do we Rarely do we not see one initially very interesting thing with what we see in our eyes, just without a camera, just looking around? You build around that one thing if you are making a photograph. Even when a series of mountain peaks are depicted, there's always that one peak that caught your eye first. And we may choose to make our composition using several peaks to show scale, to show a relationship or the environment. But think about it. How many images have you ever made? Or how many have you ever seen? Whether it's in a magazine article, on TV, when you're walking down the street, that only had one subject in it. What comes to mind is maybe a professional headshot. A person, you see there from their shoulders up. But even in that image, you may find several interesting things to look at on the subject's face or clothing. Think of a picture of a pea, a vegetable, a pea, or a potato on a white background. Now, I've done this before in studio photography when you're doing commercial work and you want to sell a handbag or a bouquet of flowers. You will put your item on a white background um, because that's the nature of that photography. But it can be pretty boring, right? The pea may be even more boring than the potato because at least the potato has more texture and varying shape. And even the color of the potato might have variations too, much more than the round, all green pea. The pea is cleaner looking. True. That's how I would describe a pea. It's cleaner looking. One might say that the potato has more character. Anyway, with all that being said, in case you are a pea farmer or work for the pea lobby, I like to eat both of them. They're delicious. But photograph them, maybe not so much, unless I'm getting paid to do so. Then, yeah, I'll photograph all the peas and potatoes you want. But getting back to this photograph, the tree all alone up there was the first thing that caught my eye. The cloud I had to be patient for because it wasn't exactly in the position I wanted. So I sat there and waited for it to float into the position that I wanted it. Now, I liked the relationship between the solitary tree, the white puffy cloud, and the tall tree just out of frame. That was purposeful. I did not want the entire tree on the left to be seen, only the hint of it being there. To me, there's a conversation going on between the two trees, the one all the way at the top all by itself and the one to the left. And then all the trees in between are like listening to that conversation, like, hey, what kind of view are you getting up there? And then the little tree at the top says, well, as tall as you are, you should be able to see what I'm seeing. That like the cloud acts as the thought bubble that you see cartoonists use, either the thought bubble or a conversation going on between two cartoon characters or two things that normally don't speak, like two dogs or a desk and a chair. In many images of this type, the viewer can make up any story, any reality they choose. Now, I have been approached many times by people viewing my images at a show or in my home or wherever they may be, and telling me that they know what I was thinking or feeling when and why I made the image. Now, I don't believe that they have ever been correct because we all bring our own life experiences, our sensitivities, and how we uniquely feel an emotion to what we see. To when we see an image, we cannot predict. I've been told many times, like, "Oh, I know that's probably your favorite photo that you've ever made," and it's never been. I mean, it's in the show or being hung for uh, reasons. Of course, I think it's a strong image, but it again, you bring your own emotions to these type of things. I can never predict. I hope my imagery is always appreciated in some form or fashion, but I'm not going to dictate or try to dictate to a person what they should feel. The next two images, the final two images in this collection, are basically environmental portraits made in the same general area while on a hike, but the backgrounds and horses differ. One is a more tightly made portrait, and the other gathers in more of the horse's surroundings. They are evenly lit. I'm patiently waiting until the horse is posed as I want it and in the place and position that I want it. Now, I could have made 100 images of the horses behind and forgetting about its position, forgetting about its face, its depth, and gotten carried away with a nice background and just being satisfied I had a horse in the picture. I see that constantly. People rushing up to something dynamic, that's could possibly move, and they're like, "Oh, I got to take a picture now," or even something static, which is worse. A horse may run away, and then you have no picture of a horse. So you think, "Let me get a snap while I can," but a mountain or a volcano or anything without locomotion, that's going nowhere. So you can pause. You can take a breath and think about what you want to do, how you want to present this picture, how you'd like to see it. Leave that trash can out. That trash can that's off to the side of what you really want to photograph, make sure that's not in the picture. Those type of things. There's no need to rush. Unless you're on a cruise ship that's blowing its "get your butt back on the ship" horn. Otherwise, take your time, enjoy, and create purposefully. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Those are the images from San Martin de los Andes in the Lake District of Patagonia, Argentina. That was today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get some useful information out of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my videos so you can see them more often. And don't forget, if you like any of the images you see in these videos, or if you need photography services, contact me. I'm always available. So in the meanwhile, make great pictures, come back often, and I'll see you at the next video.